On this episode of China Uncensored, Chinese media's strange response to Ferguson. Hi, welcome to China Uncensored. I'm your host, Chris Chappell. Now, bootlegs and cheap knockoffs are pretty common in China, and so I would have thought, if ever there was a golden opportunity for the Chinese government to put out an America Uncensored, this would have been it. Earlier in the month, Michael Brown, an unarmed 18-year-old black man, was shot dead by a white police officer in Ferguson, Missouri. It's resulted in mass protests, a "don't shoot" meme, and a police response that looks like something out of, well, China. This was a story laid out on a silver platter for Chinese state-run media to launch into a mass criticism campaign of the U.S., but their actual response was subdued. Yes, China watchers everywhere were surprised that the Chinese government wasn't criticizing the U.S. enough. I mean, sure, Xinhua News Agency, the official mouthpiece of the party, published an editorial about Ferguson that said the U.S. was a hypocrite because it assaulted almost 200 countries across the world for their so-called poor human rights records, but it didn't really seem like their hearts were in it. So what is going on? One problem is the Ferguson issue hits a little too close to home for the Chinese regime. Racial tensions have been flaring in Xinjiang, home to the mostly Muslim ethnic Uyghur population, as well as in Tibet. So one way that Chinese media are portraying this is that even in the US there are racial tensions. So if you read between the lines, of course there's going to be similar problems in China. It's no big deal. Forget about it. Also, quit criticizing us. So the Chinese government banned Ramadan fasting for Uyghur government employees. So what that they're banning beards? So they're trying to eliminate the Tibetan language by not letting it be spoken in schools. These kinds of racial misunderstandings are bound to happen. Another issue is that the Communist Party has learned the hard way that it has to be careful about how they spin anti-American news pieces. They use the Occupy Wall Street movement as proof of the utter chaos democracies can descend into and about the need for the government's favorite buzzword, stability maintenance. Oh wait, I'm sorry. You've probably never heard of the Occupy movement since Western media never covered it. But then some Chinese people started supporting the movement and criticizing the lies in Chinese media, and well, it's just best if Chinese media doesn't say too much about Ferguson. But sometimes they just can't help themselves. Like earlier this week when State Department spokesperson Marie Harf was asked about Ferguson. She responded that since this was a domestic issue that didn't involve the State Department, she couldn't really comment on it. The next morning, state-run CCTV ran with, "The U.S. State Department spokesperson said that Ferguson is a domestic affair which other countries have no right to interfere with." Now, if that sounds familiar, that's because it's the same thing the Chinese authorities say all the time when they are criticized, condemning other countries for interference in China's internal affairs. The thing is, that's not what Marie Harf said. Regardless, the report sparked heated discussion on microblogs where the term U.S. domestic affairs started trending. According to the LA Times, many netizens criticized the U.S. government for hypocrisy. That is, until people started posting translations of what Marie Harf actually did say. That's when netizens started to turn on Chinese state-run media for lying. I guess trying to score points by misrepresenting the truth backfired yet again. And that's the thing, you don't have to misrepresent the truth. What happened in Ferguson was a tragedy, and it does point to lots of issues that we have in the U.S., ones that we need to address. I, for one, am glad that we can have the opportunity to do so. Thanks for watching this episode of China Uncensored. Leave your comments below. Be sure to subscribe and check back next time for more China Uncensored.